to be blunt, Asmi, I think we've got to tear everything up and start again. And I think we've got to do things which we may even consider to be something we never thought of and unquestionable. So what I'm talking about is we need to look, I think, at a mechanism where we say we will not sell the gas price above the current price cap. People won't be able to be charged above that. That means the government are going to buy it wholesale. It means the government are going to have to pay the difference. Now, that sounds a completely strange idea from a Conservative MP, and it sounds, well, you're going to borrow the money to pay for this gap. That's something about borrowing money is a problem. But I think you've got to look at the other side of the equation. And the other side of the equation is, first of all, it's been a little bit of comment around some comments I made yesterday.
Yeah.
I slightly misspoke. But what I was saying in essence was I am taking money out of the economy to pay for my energy bills. Therefore, you are going to start seeing a lot of people doing that. And that means in the entertainment, the retail industry, whatever you may want to take your money out of, people are going to start losing their jobs. They're going to stop paying NI, going to stop paying income tax. They're going to have to be paid welfare. At the same time, businesses are not going to be making money. They're going to be paying less in income. At the same time, with the bigger businesses, less corporation tax to be paid. So there is a balance to this coin of, do we say, right, we are going to cap the price at the level which people are struggling with now and not let it go any higher, which I think is terrifying for people. And that means the government is going to have to borrow the money and subsidise the price. Or do we say, well, we'll push forward and people like myself will just take it out of the economy. That will lead to a big recession. People will lose their jobs and everything that comes with that. And I think that I didn't hear the previous interview, Asmi. I'm sorry, I wasn't online, but I think the idea, well, the bit I picked up on is that £37 billion so far given to people to cope with energy, and it's not touching the sides. So time to rip it all up and start again.
Okay. Can you clarify then those remarks? Because I read them too. I think it was an interview you did with Politics Home where you said, you're quoted as saying that you were worried about how you and your family were going to pay your energy bills. Is that true?
Yeah, I misspoke, Asma, and it was a mistake on my part. What I was talking about was that in order to pay our energy bills, we are making massive changes to how we spend our money, and I am taking money out of the economy and paying it on the bills. And a lot of people can't do that. But the point I was trying to make was that this will have a huge effect on the economy because a lot of people will be having to do that. So the actual quote was my fault. I misspoke. But the point I was making was taking money out of the economy on the things we used to spend it on things that we already have. But now all of our income is having to go in those directions.
Right. So, but you will be able to afford to pay your energy bills.
Yeah, I can afford them. But I'm doing that by taking money out of the economy.
Well, we all are, aren't we? I think
absolutely. And that's my overall point, is that then if we're going down that road, well, we know that will lead to a big recession. So do we look at something totally radical and say we will cap the price where it is now, and you won't go above that despite gas prices going up, but the government will then have to subsidise, buy it wholesale, get the private companies to sell it off, a bit like what we're doing with the railways, really, and go from there.
You talk, obviously, about not wanting to take money out of the economy that might put us into recession. I mean, in terms of the argument of Rishi Sunak, no tax cuts until we get a grip on inflation, and Liz Truss, tax cuts now because we don't want to go into recession. Do you accept that actually it is a choice of the kind of the lesser of the two evils, that we're either trying to avoid recession or and promote growth in the economy, or we're trying to bring down or get a handle on inflation? And it's just a case of perhaps where your loyalties lie, what you can see as a projection as to which side you come down on. So it's either inflation that we tackle or it's recession that we try to avoid.
I think the question mark which comes into this estimate is what sort of inflation it is. Now, if we go back to periods in the past, pumping money into the system and giving people more in their pockets is when your country had an inflationary problem, a bit like what we had in the 70s when we were called the sick man of Europe. But this is a worldwide inflationary problem caused by worldwide supply chains, worldwide energy prices caused by a war in Europe, the like we haven't seen for 80 years. The reality is this: spiking the national insurance rise doesn't put huge amounts of money in people's pockets, but it does help pay some of those bills. And knocking off the green levies for a while, is helping to pay those bills. But I think we're moving beyond that point as well, that we may have to consider it wider. Just remember on the corporation tax, Liz is saying that she's not going to bring in the 6% rise in corporation tax. She's going to leave it at the 19%. And if we go back to my previous argument that we're taking money out of the economy to pay our bills, corporations are getting less money in. So do we really want to then tax them even further? Because that's a lot less money again for investment.
I just want to ask you finally about the hustings last night. Liz Truss seemed to have done pretty well. She's had an endorsement by Ben Wallace, the Defence Secretary, this morning. She's consistently polled well. Can you explain what it is about Liz Truss and what it isn't about Rishi Sunak that is making Tory members veer towards her more? Alec, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep, break up a little bit. I can hear you, Rasma.
So what do you think it is about Liz Truss then? I mean, this is a free hit for you. Or what is it not about Rishi Sunak, do you think, that's meaning that she consistently polls well amongst Tory members?
Well, I always like to stick to the positives, Asmir. Look, Liz talks policy. And Liz, at the early stages, said she recognised she wasn't the smoothest performer, slickest performer, but she's coming across better and better as she thinks she's worked on that. But all the way through, she's been consistent on these are the policies I want to bring out. That, in many ways, has allowed her to be challenged and taken the incoming, if you will. But I think, above all, and I think this cannot be underestimated right now, is the sheer breadth of experience she's got and the delivery she's done in several departments. When you think about it, Foreign Secretary with what's going on in the world right now, and 2 years at the Treasury as Chief Secretary of the Treasury. So I think it's about Liz's experience, it's about her policy detail, it's about the fact that she's in a position which Rishi isn't in. And so I always like to try and focus on the positives rather than go for the negatives.
Okay, fair enough. Alec Shelbrooke MP, thank you very much.